Hello and welcome to FPL Malbo. My name is Andy and I've got my team selection video ahead of Game Week 3 for you today. So we'll have a look at how my team got on in Game Week 2 and then we'll talk about potential transfer plans, captaincy options and how the team's looking ahead of Game Week 3. If you enjoy these videos then please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So Game Week 2, I finished on 76 points all out. Not absolutely terrible. My rank's currently 2.7 million. I don't really pay attention to rank early doors. I'm not just saying that because my rank's not great. Loads of people at the top are going to have used more than loads of people. Almost everybody towards the top will have used chips so far and things like that. I'm not saying that's a bad strategy either. If you triple captained Haaland, fair play to you with his hat trick this week. But it does mean that there's loads of the season obviously to go, but also it's not a kind of level playing field. So I don't tend to look into it too much. Also, those ranks are just incredibly tight. So, if I scored 77 points this week, suddenly you shoot up a few thousand places. So yeah, don't pay a huge amount of attention to that. Not 100% happy with the team, but I think the results have been okay, mainly because I got the captaincy decision right both weeks, really. So I've taken through the team. I'll also sort of tell you what I'm thinking about those players going forward. Henderson in goal, just 1 point from him. That Crystal Palace team, Glasner came out and clearly isn't happy with some of the sales, and there's a kind of talk that Matt Gay might go to Newcastle as well. There is obviously some kind of problems, I would say, at Crystal Palace. They're looking at bringing, people in to replace those guys. And also, I kind of understand the sales. People like Anderson apparently was offered kind of double his wages at Fulham, so I understand why he wanted to go, and plus a long-term contract. And he's like 29, I think now. So I completely get it why Crystal Palace would take the money there, but it is a difficult player to replace, and that defense doesn't look as solid as it did previously. And the attack also looks a little lopsided as well. Crystal Palace are a kind of wait and see for me, but Henderson, I don't think it's worth using a goalkeeper transfer on. I don't think if there had been a 4 million goalkeeper who's starting in a really good defense, then maybe. But aside from that, I just don't think goalkeeper transfers are worth it. So he'll stay in there for a little bit. But I am not massively optimistic about clean sheets for him. Going on to the defence, Robinson I really like as a player. I'm surprised there hasn't been more interest from kind of top six teams in him. I'm a Man City fan, and I think he would be a fantastic rotation option at left back for us. Somebody who likes bombing forward. He just gives something different essentially to Man City's options, a kind of Gvardiol and Ake as centre backs essentially playing on the left. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's got an assist. He's got loads of assist potential in there. I think he likes bombing forward, whipping in those crosses. Fulham look all right this season. They weren't fantastic against United, but in patches they looked okay. So yeah, we'll see on that one. But I'm very happy to be owning Robinson go forward. Mikalenko, Everton look a bit of a shambles. Their squad's so thin that I think as soon as they've had a couple of injuries, they're really struggling. Yeah, the problem is, of course, is that I have no rotation options really with Konsa and Barco sitting on the bench. So at the moment, he's just having to play, and that's the thing that's pushing towards me possibly making a transfer. But I'll talk about that a bit more later. Trent 6 points, clean sheet. Happy enough with that, but he's looked really sharp in his first couple of games, and I feel like there's much more than just a clean sheet in there for him. I think there's a big haul coming soon. Onto the midfield, Eze I talked about in a bit of depth on my game week preview video, so go and watch that if you want to hear a bit more on him. But essentially, I think he's been really unlucky. Crystal Palace haven't been brilliant, but he is the shining light, I think, in that team. I think the points are coming. I'm happy to hold him. 2 points again from him, but yeah, I feel like the points are coming. Brereton Diaz, I need to learn how to pronounce his name. I think was a bit of a misstep. I kind of thought he'd be playing out of position, that Southampton would be playing two up top. He'd be alongside Armstrong, that hasn't really happened. I think they're more playing like as a two in behind him. Um, he could have scored in his first game. He had a very good chance. He was involved as well, like quite involved in the game. Whereas I think in his second game, less so. Just 2 points from him. I'm not looking to get rid of him desperately, but I'm probably just going to start Morgan Rogers in front of him 90% of the time. I think Morgan Rogers looks way more threatening. Um, then Gordon, 10 points from him. That's one I think I got a little lucky with. Sounded like he was quite sluggish first half and then brightened up a little second half. I think having Barnes on helped a little there as well. But yeah, he got his goal and he got bonus points because of it. So yeah, maybe a little lucky because I don't think it sounded like he had a fantastic game, but I think he's a great player and he is an intelligent footballer. He gets into good positions in the box and in kind of counter attacking. So he's always involved for Newcastle. He's a bit of a fulcrum for him going forward. So yeah, happy to own him. Happy to take the points. Feel like I maybe got a little lucky with that. And then Mo Salah scoring again, 10 points from him. Happy days. I don't think Salah will be in my team for that much longer. I don't know. I sort of eyed up maybe the first 5 or 6 game week from Salah and then maybe moving on. In retrospect, I think if you went for Jota, who hasn't outscored him, but I think he can cover a lot of his points for considerably less money. Um, the question is whether Jota's nailed or not. I mean, you can look at Luis Diaz as well. I've never been as excited by Luis Diaz's kind of output. I don't think he's as natural a goal scorer as Mo Salah. Well, obviously he's not as natural a goal scorer, but not in the same kind of ballpark. Whereas I think Jota is. But obviously Nunes and Gakpo are there. So yeah, I'm happy to have Salah. It doesn't give me the kind of headache of looking at the team sheet and not being 100% sure. But yeah, but it may be short term, but I'm still very happy to own him. Haaland hat trick. Don't need to say too much on that. I captained him. I think if I wasn't on holiday and I was paying more attention to my FPL team, I would have considered the triple captain. I felt like he was going to go big against Ipswich. I never really thought about it. I picked my kind of bus team and then didn't really look at it again afterwards. I decided I wasn't making any transfers, so that is what it is. But I can't complain too much with 34 points from my captain. And then Isak and Muniz, two other players that I talked about on my preview video, but I have concerns over both of them. Newcastle as a whole, I think haven't quite clicked as an attack, and I've got two of their main attackers. That said, they do have like Tonali coming back finally into that midfield. We'll see what difference that kind of makes. Trippier, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he got back into the team as well at right back. I think they're missing his kind of creativity, balls into the box. So I won't be desperate to sell him, but I am slightly concerned. They're good fixtures and they haven't really got a lot out of that, really. Or Isak hasn't got me a lot out of that. And then Muniz, I don't think has got a ton of chances in that Fulham team and looks maybe a touchdown on confidence. So yeah, very much on the chopping block, those two, but not absolutely desperate to get rid of him. And then looking at the bench, Rodgers, I think, looks fantastic going forward. He's been the biggest threat really in that Villa game for the first couple of games. Hasn't got the points to show for it, but I'm delighted to own him. I again said it on the preview video, but if you own a 4.5 million midfielder like a Winks or someone like that who's just sitting third on your bench, if you can free up the money, an extra half a mil to get Rodgers and him be a genuine rotation option for you in your team, even if you bench him a lot at 5 million, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I think he's the perfect enabler in the game right now. Quanta didn't start. Arnie Slot said that was down to him not training fully because he wasn't fully fit, but I think it's likely that he's lost his spot to Kanate. So he's a sell. It's just whether you sell him this week. I don't expect him to drop again in price. He's already dropped to 4.4, so I don't know where to go with him at the moment. So I think I will hold him for another week, but he is obviously a sell going forward. Whereas Barco at 4.0, I think is a hold for me. I don't think it's worth me swapping Barco to another £4 million defender because there isn't any that I would want to play. I'd just be swapping somebody third on my bench who's never going to play to somebody third on my bench who's going to play, but I'm never going to put him in my team unless I have a whole host of injuries. I know that Feist scored for Leicester. I think that's pretty unlikely to happen a lot this season. Howard Bellis, they're just players I think are going to get 2 pointers for you. Johnson at Ipswich, another option, maybe more attacking potential from him, but I'm not sold on it. So yeah, Barco's just going to sit on my bench. As far as I know, I think when players are red flagged, they're price locked. He's now gone to Seville. If you didn't hear that news, so he won't be playing for Brighton this season. But yeah, I think from what we've seen in the past, the players that have moved away are price locked. So I don't think he'll drop in price. It's more of a quandary for me because I've got Kwanzaa and I've got two players I don't think will start out of my defenders. If you've got four that you're pretty happy are going to start regularly, just hold on to Barco, sit him on your bench, get rid of him when you wildcard. Really don't think there's a rush on that. So here is how the team is shaping up for game week 3. So the only change that I'm likely to make is Rogers coming in for Brayden Diaz. Rogers, Leicester away. I know it's an away fixture, but I like that fixture. I think Leicester are gettable this season. They might be one of those teams to really target. So that's the only change I think I'm likely to make. But I'll talk you through the team. So Henderson in goal, Chelsea away. I think he'll probably concede in that, but I've only got one playing keeper, so that is what it is. Trent Alexander-Arnold against Man United. I really think that there are attacking returns coming from Trent. I'm not convinced he'll keep clean sheet in that game, but yeah, I'm hopeful for a goal or an assist there. Robinson against Ipswich. Again, potential attacking returns there, potential clean sheet. Ipswich, I thought, were pretty dogged against City. They conceded a kind of glut of goals early on after scoring themselves, of course, but they dug in second half. I don't think they'll be terrible this year. They're going to be around the relegation zone, but I have more worries, I think, about Southampton and Leicester. I think Ipswich will be the one, for me, fighting to stay up. So we'll see how they get on there. I mean, not expecting an absolute rout, but clean sheet, yeah, potentially, and attacking returns, potentially. Mikolenko against Bournemouth. Start of the season, I would have said that's a decent fixture, particularly after Dominic Solanke went. Bournemouth started okay. I think it's 2-1 all draws for them. Everton have looked shambles. I don't think players are expected back, so I think you're looking at the same kind of defence that they had in the last game. I back Sean Dyche, the manager, to kind of turn that around, but I think they need players back from injury as well because the squad looks really thin at the moment. We'll see whether they make any transfers before the window. I don't have any option but to pick Mikolenko. I think if you're looking between Mikolenko and somebody else who maybe has a fairly tough fixture, I still think you could consider them because Everton have looked a bit lost at sea so far. But the team I've got is going to play. The midfield, Gordon at home. Gordon was exceptional last season at home, so I'm happy to own him against the Tottenham team who could potentially win that game, but I still think they'll concede because they play such a high line and they're quite open at the back. Eze against Chelsea, similar things actually. That's a fairly tough fixture. I can see Crystal Palace losing it. I can also see Eze getting returns against a Chelsea defence that I don't think is quite there yet either. Rogers against Leicester, I've talked about. Mohamed Salah loves playing against Man United. The captaincy is a tough decision this week. Yeah, I've not looked up the stats on that. I just feel like Mo Salah seems to score every time he plays United. So we'll see. A genuine captaincy option for me, and quite happy to own him. Muniz, I've talked about the Ipswich fixture, but yeah, if he doesn't do anything in that fixture, I think it's an easy. I will probably downgrade. I'll probably just bring in João Pedro, save myself that half a mil. He's gone up in price, which is surprising as well. So he's currently 6.1. Obviously, I wouldn't bank that money, but it means if there are sales there, I'm not going to lose out on him. Then Haaland has the captaincy at the moment. Haaland isn't as good away from home. And that West Ham team is a bit hard to judge, I think. They look like they've made really good signings. But it's a lot of new signings, particularly defensively. They've started the season fairly well. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm very, very torn between my two big captaincy options. It will be one of those two. The form that Haaland started the season in, I'm going to find it hard to go against Haaland. And I think if you justify 15 million for him, which is a huge cost, you're probably captaining in most weeks. So yeah, a little bit of FOMO is a reason why I'm going for Haaland at the moment as captain. Final fixture is against Tottenham. I've already talked about the Tottenham game for Newcastle. But I want to see an improvement in Isak as well because he's also on the chopping block, mainly because of the way Newcastle have attacked. Transfer wise, I don't think I'm going to make any transfers. I talked about Quanta being a sell, and I think he is. But he's dropped to 4.4. I have no money in the bank. So if I look at the 4.4 options, there's none that really interest me. There's, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I'm going to go Aina from Nottingham Forest, who's dropped to 4.4 as well. However, Forest has signed Alex Moreno, who the left back from Villa, who it wouldn't surprise me if he got a starting spot soon at left back. So yeah, I have doubts over his being nailed essentially, and I need to bring in a nailed defender. I could look to downgrade somebody. I talked about the possibility with Munez or Isak even, and that would give me money to invest into defense. But I don't know. Pedro Porro is the one that I really want, I think, at the moment. Although the longer I leave it, the more I want to bring in an Arsenal defender. They've got a couple of really tough fixtures, but once you get through that, I think you have to have an Arsenal defender in there. They've got the best defense in the league. They definitely should have conceded this week. I don't know how Villa didn't score, but that is 2 clean sheets for Arsenal, and I don't have an Arsenal defender. So, yeah, I think I'm going to wait and see. I think I'm going to hold on to the transfer. I know Quanta's not going to play, and I know that it means that I'll have to play Mikalenko, and I'm not totally happy with that. But I think that the extra knowledge that I'll get from another week of data, like we only have 2 weeks to go off. Yeah, I think I'm better off holding on and then looking at maybe using two transfers to move that money around and get a fourth defender in who I'm happier to play most of the time over Mikalenko because I'm really happy with Robinson and Trent in my team. So that's how the team looks for next week. So that's my team selection video ahead of game week 3. Let me know in the comments what you think of my team. Should I be a little bit more proactive with my transfers or not? Because at the moment I'm really set on doing absolutely nothing for the second week in a row. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and give this one a like. It's always appreciated when you guys do that, but I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again on another video.